Hi, this is Brennan Davis from Bedrock Games and the Bedrock blog, and this is an early morning review of The Green Dragon Inn, a 1977 film starring Lo Lieh, Polly Kwan, and Yu Hua. It's a Taiwanese movie, and I have a very short time to do this, so I'm going to try to keep this quick. But the movie is available on Prime. I would recommend getting it in DVD. I watched it on DVD last night, very late at night. I did check the Amazon version to see what it looked like, and it's fine. It's just that some parts are chopped off a little bit. The image quality is a little bit low. You can still get the feel of the movie and everything. I would just, if you can see it on DVD, it's probably better. Again, be a little bit mindful of what DVD you're getting, because the qualities probably are pretty all over the map. But this film is almost the opposite of Dragon Gate Inn. In that movie, the heroes are going against the Ming Dynasty as they have to rescue these children of I think of a general and bring them to safety as the corrupt officials are sort of chasing them. They end up getting surrounded at Dragon Inn, and in this movie, the hero is a righteous official who's escorting a prisoner who's the son of a warlord, and the warlord is the one that's sort of trying to thwart him. And the righteous official is trying to bring the son to the capital for his trial, where he's going to be executed most likely. And he ends up getting stuck at the Green Dragon Inn. And this one takes place in a town. It takes place in Green Dragon Town, so the setting's a little bit different. There's an inn, but the inn is in a town, and that does create a different feel. But they have a lot of similarities. A lot of the things that make Dragon Gate Inn work so great are the tension and the building of suspense and all of these standoffs that almost feel like they come out of a spaghetti western, and this has a lot of that. There's just a lot of moments where the characters are in a situation and things get very tense. For example, there was a prisoner exchange scene in the movie that's very just very representative of all of these different scenes in the film. And they have to exchange two prisoners, and one side has a bunch of archers lined up and is ready to fire at a moment's notice, and there's this sort of really tense moment where the prisoners are walking by each other, and I won't tell you what happens, but I thought that was one of the highlights of the movie. I also liked the characters in this film. Again, in the original Dragon Inn movie, there's a sort of a team of heroes. In this one, there's also a team of heroes. One of them is a righteous official. The other is actually, you know what, I'm gonna spoil a little bit just because it's hard to talk about the movie without it, but I'm only spoiling a small little aspect of the film. There's a character played by Polly Kwan, and I think her name is Chang Yin, but I'm not 100% sure, and she initially sneaks into the inn, it seems, to rescue the prisoner. But what we learn is that she's actually there for revenge, and she wants to kill the prisoner. So she ends up teaming up with this righteous official. There's also a mysterious wandering swordsman played by Lo Lieh, who turns out to be another official, and he teams up with him too. But you kind of have this early moment in the film where they first meet, where Yu Hua's martial character doesn't know who Lo Lieh's character is, and I think Lo Lieh's character's name is Tung, but I'm not 100% sure. They have a little bit of a fight after he first receives his orders, and they keep sort of crossing paths. And again, I think it was a really solid, fun movie. I would recommend that you watch Dragon Inn first, and I think that this has a lot going for it, though, especially if you're familiar with Dragon Inn. It's gonna pay off a little bit watching this. You could watch this on its own too, and it'll be totally fine. Again, this is like a really great cast. You got Lo Lieh, Yu Hua, and Polly Kwan, which is that's number one. Polly Kwan was in the original Dragon Inn movie. It's a good movie, and I would say if you have Prime, maybe go check it out on Prime. But I really think this is worth seeing on DVD. Again, it's not the greatest film ever, but it's a good movie. I thought I had a really good time watching it, and I liked that it was kind of the opposite of Dragon Inn. That was, it sort of played off the strengths of that movie, and took a different approach, which obviously changes the theme. The theme of that movie is very much sort of it sort of questions the legitimacy of authority, and this one goes in the opposite direction. It's much more about sort of the law being a good thing. But they're both good movies, and I think that I really like seeing Polly Kwan in films like this. She really gets quite impressive as she goes on in her roles, and I think so much. What I've heard is that she's actually now a full-time martial artist. Like, I think she operates a martial arts school or something, which that always impresses me when somebody goes from being an actor to being a martial artist. That's that suggests that they fell in love with the martial arts aspect of it. There's a movie, I think it was called Ghostly Eyes Killer. I can't remember the exact name of it. I'll try to find it and put it in the show notes. But she in that one, she's amazing. Like the fight choreography, and that's really cool. It's an odd film. It's a very odd movie, but it's a really good use of her talents. And here it's primarily swordplay, but there's still a lot of kung fu too, and it's swordplay somewhat done in the style of the Dragon Gate Inn movie, which was a much more sort of gritty classic style of swordplay. You still get a lot of cool moments though, especially like Polly Kwan has a really great moment at the very end of the film, which I won't spoil for anybody. But I thought that was one of the cooler scenes. There's a really great slow motion scene with Lolier and a couple of guys that he's fighting. That I can see why. Sometimes they do these scenes in slow motion. You're like, why did they slow that down? This one, I understood why they slowed it down. It was really a cool thing to see happen. It just looked like it would have been difficult to pull off. And the villain has a staff, which is kind of interesting. So in the final battle with Yu Hua and the warlord, it's sword versus staff, which is kind of cool. And I like the sort of the warlord versus the righteous official. It was sort of an interesting approach to it. And the son. The son spends most of his time. I don't know if you've ever seen Come Drink With Me. They have this. I don't know what it's called, but it's like a box, almost like a little prison box that they put the prisoner in, and it's on wheels like a cart, and the prisoner's head pokes out of the top of it, and he's in one of those for much of the film. But he's a real piece of work, the son, and all of this revolves around the son. The son murders a family and has just been killing people brutally, and the father is actually the warlord. He's actually sort of trying to put a stop to it by the time that they're going to arrest him, and so they issue orders to have him arrested, and that's where this all sort of takes off. I'm doing a horrible job giving you an overview of it. It's a much more interesting plot than I'm describing, but it's a simple story, but an interesting one, and it really shines in those moments of tension when it introduces characters. The characters, I mean, they're all sort of simply drawn, but they're all done convincingly, and and you want them to succeed, and you kind of, there's a little air of mystery around all of them initially. So I thought it all worked very well, and I think the location works. So I will let you go because, like I said, I had limited time here. Again, this was a late night. This is sort of I watched the movie late at night and then I reviewed it early in the morning. So it's not quite a late night movie review, but it's not one of my regular reviews either. So I would, again, it's Green Dragon Inn, Lolier, Yu Hua, and Polly Kwan. It's made in 1977, and I recommend it. I think the DVD is something like $20. That's what I got it for, and it's definitely worth checking out. And if you don't want to spend the money and you have Amazon Prime, check it out on Prime. But I would recommend that you watch the original Dragon Gate movie, 1967, by King Hu. Before seeing this one, again, I don't know how much of it is intentional. I believe it is, but I think this is a movie that definitely benefits from seeing that original film. So, all right, I will let you go, and I will talk to you later.